session. So maybe within in couple of minutes, we are going to start it. All right. Can you please confirm? Can you please confirm if you can? I think you hit the possibly the poll real quickly. So I'll just restart. So possibly you should be able to hear me now. Can you just confirm it now? Yeah. So that was the time when I was not really speaking. So I'm just waiting for a few more people. So once I see that other people are also in, I'm going to start the session. All right. All right. So we are going to start pretty soon. All right. By the time we start, can you tell me your experience with GRE, whatever you have done till now? Have you done anything till now? Have you taken any mocks or anything like that? If you want to share any experience you have with GRE. All right. So you are working on the foundation. All right. So the questions we are going to discuss today are not going to be that difficult as such, but obviously we'll use comparison questions. Mostly we'll use comparison questions, and we'll try to identify what are the things we need to take care of when we are comparing two data, what are the different options we have, and those options are standard, right? All the A, B, C, D, four options are standard. So I should definitely know what are those options, and then what are the different tricks I need to know. And we'll definitely get into a little bit about certain topics as well. Okay. And obviously that will be about the session. Okay, so let us get started. I don't see too many people joining in as of now. So if anyone joins, obviously they can pick it up from there. Okay, so let's get started then. Okay, so initially the session was supposed to be taken by Shakib, but there is some emergency unforeseen circumstances that are there. Because of that, I'm going to take this session. So I am just a second. So I'm Shubhankar. I take care of the quant part for our website. So basically, I'm the quant head over here, and I'm going to go through this particular session with you all. Okay. Um, let me start with the first question. Okay, so we are going to solve somewhere around 6 to 7 questions, or perhaps 8 questions, depending on how much fast we can go through it, obviously. And I'm going to give you the general idea about the comparison question, as well as certain topics as well, certain important points about the topics or about the questions we are going to discuss, right? Okay, so if everything is all right, I'm going to start with the first question. Okay, I will give you the options so you can start solving this. Let me put a poll up for the option. Okay, you can select your option. Do not use the chat box to write the answer option. You just use the poll to write the answer option or mark the answer option. And based on your responses, obviously, I'll try to analyze if you're getting it correct, well and good. If you're getting it wrong, so then I'll try to analyze why you have got it wrong. Okay. Okay, so let us get started. You can start solving it. I'll be putting the poll in a minute. All right, the poll is up now. Okay, I have seen a few answers. Welcome everyone. Welcome once again for those who join in late. So we are going through certain questions on comparison. So today's sessions we are going to focus on comparison questions, and obviously the questions are not going to be too difficult. Here and there could be tricks and all those stuff. Since we're not going to discuss any particular topic as such, and it will be all all the topics combined. So obviously I have kept these questions which are anyone who is new, who do not know anything about any particular concept, have just basic idea about any concept, should be able to solve or should be able to attempt it. Okay, so can you if I get few more answer choices, I'll definitely close the poll. I have got few answers. Still, I think few people are left. Okay. So as I can see, I think couple of people are still left. So you guys can take couple of more minutes, not couple of more minutes, maybe 20 more seconds and answer it. All right, 10 more seconds. All right, guys, I'm ending the poll now. Okay. So as I can see, 2/3 of you got it correct and 1/3 of you got it wrong. Okay, so roughly around, I mean, that's almost 1/3 of you got it wrong. Let us see why people can get this question wrong. Okay, so so when we compare questions or when we get a questions like this, and as you can see, the options are pretty standard. It will always remain like this. So the first option is when quantity A is greater than quantity B. Second option is quantity B is greater than quantity A. Third is both are equal. And the fourth one option is when we cannot really find out a concrete relation. So when I say concrete relation, I don't know whether one is always greater than the other or not. So when I cannot get it like that, obviously I'll say the answer option is D. Okay. Now for this particular question, as I can see here, I have two numbers and these are pretty big numbers, right? So how do I compare, I mean, such a big number like 60 to the power 100, 1200? Obviously, there is no way that I'm going to write it down, right? I'm not going to multiply them. Then what should I do? Now, so if I compare these two, let me just give you some idea about it. Okay. Now, let's say I'm comparing 5 square with 5 cube. You guys can easily tell me which one is greater, right? If I see 5 square and 5 cube, you can definitely tell me that this is greater. The reason being that you can say these base are identical and the power, Excuse me. Sorry. So let me put it in silent for you. Yeah. Okay. So so here I can get that power is greater here, right? Since for this the power is greater, I can definitely say exponent is greater here. This is going to be greater. Or for some other question, I may get something like this: that 5 square and say 7 square. I'm comparing. The powers are identical, but obviously the base is greater. Since the base is greater, I can definitely say this one is greater. So what is the easiest way to compare is that make either of them equal. Either you make the power equal or you make the exponent equal. Sorry, or you make the base equal. Now, how should I do it? If you see here, the power is first one is 1200 and the second one is 600. So how should I make it equal? You can see that 1200 and 600, there is a relation that 1200 is double of that. So can I simply write it like 60 to the power 2 into 600? Okay. And similarly, I can keep it as like this. Okay. Now, what is this? You should definitely know. If I get a power like a to the power b into c, I can definitely write it as a to the power b raised to the power c. The whole thing raised to the power c. So same thing here. I can use that property of exponent and I can say this is this. Once I know it, I can definitely say the number here is 60 square, which is pretty easy to calculate. 3600 raised to the power 600, and here I have raised to the power this. So what I have done, I have made sure that my exponents are same so that I can easily compare the base. Since the base is 3600 for the first scenario, obviously I'll say this is definitely a greater one, and my answer option is going to be A. So pretty straightforward to start with. Okay. So can you guys just confirm with the chat box if you are fine with it? Can we just go ahead, or let me put a poll with that? So you can just, if you do not have any doubt, you can just put yes. Okay. So that will move to the next question. All right. Great. Let us now quickly move to the next question. Okay. So here is another question, which is you can see somewhat related to exponent. Can you tell me what is the answer for this one? So I'll be on mute for a minute or so. You answer this one. Let me put the poll up first. Yes. So the poll is up. You can solve it. You can mark your answer choices, and based on that, I'll tell you how to go about it. If anyone is getting any particular answer as wrong, obviously we are going to take care of that. Okay, I have got quite a few answers. I can see roughly one fourth of you got it correct. Sorry, three-fourth of you got it correct. One fourth have got it wrong. Maybe I'll wait for 30 more seconds. I'll wait for 30 more seconds. Please use the poll, Abrar. Please use the poll. All right, 10 more seconds. I think most of you have answered. Maybe a couple of people still left. Yeah, a couple of people still left. All right, I'm ending the poll now. Okay, so as I can see, two-third of you got question wrong. Two-third of you got question correct, similar to the previous question. One-third of you have got it wrong. All right. So let me see what are the different options. So the correct option is option A. Is it A? Yes. I think so. Correct option is A. Some of you answered B. Some of you answered D as well. Okay. So let me see how it is A. Okay. So options remain same, exactly same. Like A means first one is greater, B means second one is greater, and so on. Okay. Now let's see what exactly I need to know for this such a question. Okay. Now, one thing is that if I do not know the concept behind it, I can definitely put A equals to 1, A equals to 2, and I can see what happens. Let me first do that method, okay? Before I get into, before I get into any particular like sophisticated way, let me do it in the um, brute force way. Okay, so what exactly is brute force way? Something like I'm putting like this. Okay. Now, what exactly going to be this? 1 divided by 0.99. Okay. So if I get something like 1 divided by 0.99, I can say 1 is bigger, 0.9 is 9 is smaller. So definitely this is going to be more than 1, right? Now let me take a second number like this. 0.99 square. Now, what is 0.99 square? Okay, should I calculate it? If I calculate, I can get something like this 9801. But should I calculate or should I memorize? Obviously, not. Then, what should I understand here? Okay, so here comes the concept we call at four regions on a number line. Okay, what do I mean by that? Okay, let me give you the concept little in brief. So, it says this is 0. There are four distinct regions on a number line where the exponent behave differently, and I need to have very good understanding about those regions. Okay. Now, what I mean by that? Let me just take this number 0.99. Okay. Now, where exactly is 0.99? 0.99 is here, right? Okay. So, in this particular region, what happens if I take a square? So if I take square of 0.99, the value decreases. If I take cube, the value further decreases. Okay. If I take the fourth power, the value further decreases. So what happens in this particular region is that as I increase the exponent, the values of these term keep on decreasing. Okay. So this is one of the property we have here. Now, how to validate it? You can just, rather than taking 0.99, you can take just simply take something like half. So if I take half square, it is 1 by 4. If I take half to the power cube, it is 1 by 8. It is 1 by 16 and so on. And you can see that it keeps on decreasing. Okay. So what happens whenever you are, maybe you are confused with this concept, how should I find out whether in this particular region, this particular number behaves in what way? If I take a higher power, whether it increases or decreases, you can just take any number in this region. So if I take 0 to 1, I'll take a easy number which is half. I'll take square of it and I see half square is getting reduced, decrease, right? So since it is decreasing, obviously I can say 0.99 square is going to be less than this. So you can say since this is less, what will happen? Now I can definitely say that 0.99 to the power a, where a is a positive integer, must get smaller as I increase the value of a, right? So since it is getting smaller, the simple idea here is that my numerator remains 1, my denominator is decreasing. So obviously I'll keep on getting a number where the numerator is more and the denominator is less. So obviously, since numerator is going up and denominator is going down, obviously my number will keep on increasing. So I can definitely say since this is greater than 1, any higher power will definitely be greater than 1. So let me just put it. And so since I know 0.99, 1 by 0.99 is greater than 1, I can definitely say 1 divided by this is even going to be 1. It is going to be greater than 1. Any higher power is going to be greater than 1. So once I understand that, I know definitely my left hand side is more than 1, my right hand side is less than 1. I need not to worry more. I will definitely go ahead. Now, all the things I have said here, obviously, I just need to do. In the exam, what should I do? I should simply do, okay, 1 by 0.99. It's in the 0 to 1 phase. If I increase the power, 0.99 will increase. So 0.99 to the power 2 will decrease. My denominator is decreasing. My term will increase. It is more than 1. So definitely I'm done with it. First term is more than 1, quantity A. Second quantity, which is B, is less than 1. I know my answer is going to be A, right? Okay. So this is what we have for this particular thing, and understanding of four regions in a number line is very important concept. So definitely make sure you understand how it works in those four regions. So the regions are 0 to 1, 0 to -1, more than 1, and less than -1. Okay. So if you can confirm, I can go ahead with the next question. If you guys can confirm, I can go ahead with the next question. Uh, okay, cool. Thanks. Okay, let me move to the next question then. Okay, so here is a question on geometry. Okay, so let us try it. Let me know your answer. I'll be mute for a minute or so. Let me know your answer and then we'll discuss from there. All right, I have seen few answers. I'll give maybe 15 to 30 more seconds, not more than that. All right, 10 more seconds, guys. Okay, I have got somewhere around half of your answers, so I'm not sure. Probably you are taking little time. That's fine. Let me give you 30 more seconds. Okay, those who haven't marked it, you guys can answer it. 30 more seconds. All right, 20 more seconds. Five more seconds, guys. Okay, I'm ending the poll now. Okay, so not many have answered this question. So I understand, because there is possibly the other questions we have a starting point. We could have always start with a certain point. In this kind of question, since there is something missing, some important information is given partially. It's not the entire information given. So sometimes people just wonder, where should I start? Okay. So let me discuss that thing about, I mean, where should I start, and what is that possible uh, important trap which could have been set. This question, I haven't given that trap, but the trap could have been set. I'll talk about that as well. Okay, so let me start with this particular question. As usual, the answer options remain exactly the same, so I'm not going to discuss the answer option. Let me see how this questions comes out. So PQR is a right angle triangle, right angled at EQ. So it is given, this is a right angle triangle, good. So once you know it is a right angle triangle, you can always think about the formula related to this, right? So you know the Pythagoras theorem, okay, right? So this is something you can always trigger. If it is a right angle triangle, could be something related to that, okay, fine. But as of now, we don't know. QS is less than 4. It is less than 4, not the entire information given, but partial information given. PQ is 5, all right. SR is 8. Now, so here, if I start, I know one of the side PQ, which is going to be 5, and I know some information about the other side, QR, which is going to be 8 plus little less than 4, right? So I can say something little less than 4. I don't know how much. So I can say something like 4 minus x, where x is a positive entity. Okay. Now, here is an interesting part. Can you guys use the chat box and tell me what is the highest value that QS can take? What is the highest value? You can use the chat box and tell me what is the maximum value QS can take. Can you guys use the chat box and tell me quickly what is the maximum value that QS can take? Because the entire question is said could have been there with respect to that. I did not give a, okay, QS. I asked QS. Okay, fine. I think you are talking about QR 12. Okay, it cannot be 12, right? It has to be less than 12. Yes. So I can see many of you have answered, some of you answered privately as well, like 12. So understand, Mariam, you said 12. Abrar, you said 12. So 12 is, I understood you are talking about QR. QR cannot be 12. It can be less than 12, little less than 12. So what Sanjay has said, 11.9999, or I have got couple of answers in private, which gives me the value of QS as 3.99, which is the correct one, right? It can be 3.9999 and so on. Now, in this kind of question, then how should I go about it? I don't know the exact value. I know the tentative value. Okay. So what I would suggest in such a scenario, you can always assume it to be 4 and keep in mind it cannot be 4. It has to be less than 4. Okay. So how should I go about it? Okay, fine. Rather than complicating things, I will assume this to be 5, I'll assume this to be 12, and I will know that this is little less than 12. Okay. However, I will do all the calculation with respect to 12. Okay. Now, how it helps? You understand this is a right angle triangle. So if I know one side is 5, another side is 12, I can always find out the third side, which is hypotenuse. So I know the hypotenuse square, which is PR square, is going to be 5 square plus 12 square. Now, what is 5 square? 25. What is 12 square? 144. If I add them, I get 169, which is 13 square. So PR equals to 13. This is something I get. Now, I did the calculation quickly. However, you should definitely remember squares from 1 square to 25 square or possibly till 30 square to make sure you can do calculation fast. I know you can use calculator, that is there having, but then if you know these squares, you can easily do this calculation. You can save a lot of time. Okay. So what we have come down to now, this is little less than 12 and this is little less than 13. So I can say my entire perimeter is going to be 5 plus little less than 12 plus little less than 13. So it is little less than 30. So the maximum perimeter it can have is something less than 30. What is that something? I don't know. It will be a very minimum value. It can be 0.000001. But that is being said, I know the perimeter cannot be 30. 30 is that limit which it can never achieve. So once I know, understand that, I can definitely say my quantity A is definitely going to be 30, which is more than the perimeter of PQR. Now, how this question, so now you understand this is 30, this is less than 30, so my answer is going to be A. However, the trap that could have been said, instead of this, if someone has said 29 over here, and if someone assumed this to be 5, this to be 3, an integer, okay, and this particular to be 8, then a person can make a mistake, assuming one side as 5, another side as 11, QR as 11. So there is a possibility that you you tend to assume, or some students tend to assume the number which is given as less than 4 to be 3, not necessarily. Since it is side, it can take a fractional value. So always keep that in mind while solving question. But yeah, I think I can see many of you got it correct. Some of you haven't answered. So I believe those who could not answer or those who got it wrong now understand how this kind of questions can be solved. Okay. So quickly, let me put the poll up. Can you tell me if I can move ahead? So now onwards, I'm going to go little faster with the session, obviously, because you now understand the questions, how it goes, how we should analyze. And if you see, most of the analysis we are doing with respect to the question, if the question stem is bigger, a lot of analysis or question stem has a lot of information, a lot of analysis we're doing based on that, right? Okay. So let me quickly move to this question. Okay. So the questions that are there obviously bit conceptual. So if you know the concept, you can actually solve this question within 30 seconds. Even if I do not understand or have absolute clarity of the concept, I can definitely form equation and find out a way so that I can do it within a minute or so. Definitely not more than that. Okay. Let me put the poll up. So the poll is up. Yeah. So you can try it and you can let me know what is your answer. Okay, I have got quite a few answers now, so pretty quick. Good. I think I still have a couple of people who haven't answered, so maybe 30 more seconds. All right, 10 more seconds, guys. All right, I'm ending the poll now. Okay, so I have now like different answers. I can see roughly 15% answering A, something similar on C, something similar on D, and little more than 50% answering B. Okay. All right, let me see which one is the correct answer and how should I go about this type of question. Okay. Okay. So this particular question, let me first go about it, understanding visually what is happening, and then I'll tell you about the mathematical way. Okay. So they said Jack is 30% taller than Jill. Okay. So suppose Jill is this. So Jack is 30% taller. So Jack should be something like this way. Okay. Now Jill is 30% shorter. So definitely Jeannie should also be little taller compared to Jill. Okay. So visually I have something like this, right? Okay. Now the question is that what is Jack height? So I need to compare this with Jeannie's height. Okay. However, there is a catch here is that generally people tend to think, or I got one answer, so it's good that not many of you are committing that mistake, is that Jack is 30% taller and Jill is 30% shorter. Okay. It doesn't mean that both are going to be of the same height. I mean, I understand that Jill is shorter, but there are a couple of important points. So when I say Jack is 30% taller, I'm comparing with respect to Jill. That's why Jack is 30% taller. So if this is X, this is 30% more, which is going to be 1.3x. However, Jill is 30% shorter means if this is Y, then Jill is 30% shorter than that. So Jill is going to be 30% shorter basically means 0.7Y. So these two 30% are not same because one is counted with respect to Gini, which is a I mean, which is the person is taller, and another one is with respect to Jill. So, what should I do for such a question? So, I should definitely compare all these numbers with respect to a common value. That is something I should do in such a question. Okay, so let me see what is that common value. So, says they said Jack compared with Jill, Jill is compared with Jeannie. So, I can always assume, let me assume the height of Jeannie to be say x. Okay. Now, if Genie is x, what is will be the height of Jill? Jill is 30% shorter. Okay. So Jill must be 30% shorter. So one thing is that 30% you can write it like 1 minus 30 by 100, which is going to be 70 by 100 or 0.7. That is being multiplied with x. So you have 0.7x, right? So that is Jill. I got it. Now, next one is Jack is 30% taller than Jill. So Jack must be 30% taller than this value, right? So what is 30% taller? It must be 1 plus 30 by 100 into 0.7x. Now what is 1? This is 1 plus 3 by 10, which is 1.3. So we have 1.3 into 0.7x. So 13 into 7, if you know it's going to be 91, so it is going to be 0.91x. Okay. So obviously, if I go by the height, Gini is x, Jill is 1 point, sorry, Zill is how much? Zill is 0.7x and Jack is going to be 0.91x. So my answer is going to be who is the one with the, tallest, who is the tallest? Zini is the tallest. That is my question. Okay. Yes, Sanjay. Right. Correct. So that those are the numbers 1.3, 0.7. But where should I start? How should I know it's going to be 1? So understand, if you start with Jack as X, it will be little difficult to calculate. So in this question, I will start with the number from where I can easily find out the other number. Since Jack is compared with respect to Zil and Zil is compared with respect to Jenny, so obviously I'll start with Jenny. I'll assume Jenny to be X, then I'll get Jill, and then I'll get Jack. Okay. So once I understand this thing, obviously my answer is pretty simple. I get B as the answer. Okay. All right, guys. So you guys can now confirm if I can move ahead. If you can use the poll and tell me if you can move ahead. If anyone has any doubt, you can use the chat box to let me know. If no doubt, you can, yeah. Wait, I got some, most of you saying yes, so I'll move ahead. Okay, so let me go to the next question. Okay, let's try this question. So now couple of questions are going to be a little tricky. Obviously, again, not difficult because we do not get that difficult question as such. Okay, so let me know what is the answer for this one. The poll is up. I'll be mute for a minute or so. All right, I have got some answers, and it's pretty much split, which is interesting. It's like half and half. I'll not tell you which are the options, so I'll give 20 more seconds. That's it. Okay. I think only couple of you are left now. 10 more seconds. All right. I can see only one of you left. 5 seconds if you can answer, if you can mark a choice. All right. I'm ending the poll now. Okay. So let me check it. Yeah. So two-thirds of you got it correct. And the correct answer option is A. Okay. MOQNPR. Yeah. Correct answer option is A. Most of you, two-thirds of you got it correct. That's well and good. Let's say, how should I go about this question? Okay. Now they haven't given me any um, numbers as such. They have just said m greater than n, greater than o, greater than p, greater than q, greater than r. Okay, right? And the average of this. Okay, so I definitely need to know what is the meaning of average. Okay, so let me see what is the average. Okay, so the average of any number, three numbers are given definitely by m plus o plus q divided by 3. Okay, now obviously, if I compare this one with n plus p plus r by 3, essentially what I'm comparing m plus o plus q, okay, with n plus p plus r, right? So these are the numbers, how I'm comparing them. Now the question here is, if I compare these two, since I do not know the value, can I compare? Okay. If I ask you what is the average of M, O, and Q, you won't be able to find it because you need to know the values, right? But in this scenario, although I do not know the value, but I know certain kind of relation. Now, what is that relation? You can see if I take two at a time, first two, M greater than N. So I can definitely say M is greater than N. So obviously this will be little more than this. Similarly, O will be little more than P and Q will be little more than R. So I can say individually, this number is going to be N plus some X. This O is going to be P plus some number because it is more, which is say Y. And this Q is going to be R plus some more number like Z. So together I can say it is going to be N plus P plus R plus certain numbers. It can be small numbers like x plus y plus z, but then definitely it's going to be some entity. So since I compare and I can say this is definitely my m plus o plus q is greater than npr, I can definitely answer this question that a is the answer and the first term is the bigger one. Okay, so when you get a comparison question, do not try to find out the exact value because that is may not be needed and that is possibly could be the trap around it. They could set a trap around that. If you try to find out the actual value, you won't know that. So obviously you are likely to answer mark the answer as D. Okay, so you shouldn't do that since I'm comparing. So I should see whether I can compare or not. Here I can compare because if I take two terms, first and second one, I can say first one is more, third and fourth one, third one is more, and then fifth and sixth one, fifth one is more. So obviously together, first, third, and fifth will be more. Okay, so this is an interesting thing in that aspect question. Okay, so I believe everyone should be able to understand this one. If you can confirm, I can move to the next question. If you guys can confirm, I can move to the next question. Perfect. Can you try this one? Obviously, this is a question where I need to know what is the expression of standard deviation and how it works. So I'll give you a little brief idea about what is standard deviation and then a generic idea about it. I mean, generic property about standard deviation. So yeah, if you know it, well and good, or else definitely we are going to give little more time in this particular question. All right, I have started to get some answers. All right, I have got quite a few answers, maybe 15 more seconds. All right, guys, I'm ending the poll. Okay. So statistics and standard deviation is a part of statistics. So um, let me first analyze the option. So I can see uh, half of you, almost half of you got it correct and half of you got it wrong. The two answers I can see here is B and C. Okay. So mostly the answers are B and C. Okay. So let's see which one is correct out of it, out of these two. So standard deviation, which is part of statistics, is definitely one of the important concept in GRE. So obviously, I need to know how standard deviation is derived, right? So let me first tell you about what exactly standard deviation. So standard deviation is basically a measure of disperse in a data set. So there is a set of formula. I mean, one formula is there that I need to know. So what is that formula? The formula works something like this. Okay, let me use that formula with respect to this particular number because I do not have any decimal involved, and then I'll do it for the other number. Okay, so if I have four numbers as that, as these numbers, first I need to find out what is this mean. Okay, now what is mean? It's basically the average, or you can say arithmetic mean. So arithmetic mean or average you need to calculate. So that is, if you calculate it here, 1 plus 3 4, 4 plus 5 9, 16 by 12, 16 by 4, which is going to be 4. Okay, so what I do, I find out what is the difference between average and the first term, which is 1. Okay, so I take square of it. Then I take the all the such terms. So the average minus second term, square of it. Average minus third term, which will be minus 1, square of it. But it's going to be minus 1 or plus 1, so it doesn't matter here. And next one is 4 minus 7 whole square. Okay, now this term what I have calculated here, okay, this particular term is basically giving you a part of standard deviation. It is not standard deviation as of now. Okay, now how should I find out the standard deviation then? Okay, so you find out the root mean square kind of deviation, and you find out once you find this out, you divide it by 4. Okay, why 4? The number of terms. Okay, so how many terms we have? I have 4 terms. You divide it by 4. Okay, so and then after that you take square root of it. Okay, so this is going to be the term which is going to give me standard deviation. Okay. I'm not going to give you the formula as such. Obviously, you can Google and find out the formula. I mean, but this is how it comes. Okay. So I explained how it comes. Okay. Now, once I understand this particular thing, obviously I'm going to calculate the same thing for zero point 0.1 as well. But do you understand if I calculate for zero point 0.1, I'm going to get a smaller number in the numerator because it's the decimal point, right? So if I calculate the average, it's going to be 0.4. So if I take this, I'm definitely going to get something like this, 0.3 square plus 0.4 minus 0.5 square, and the last one is 0.4 minus 0.7 square. So all the terms are fine, same, but I'm getting a smaller term in the numerator. Since I'm getting a numerator as a smaller term, definitely the standard deviation of the first one is going to be smaller because I'm getting a smaller term. Okay, so this is the mathematical idea of standard deviation, why it is smaller. Okay, now I'll try to give you certain generalized idea about standard deviation. Okay, like I told you, standard deviation is the extent of dispose between terms. So if I say the terms are 1, 3, 5, 7, they are spread in a way that the difference between consecutive terms is 2, whereas the difference between consecutive term in the first one is only 0.2. So definitely my standard deviation is going to be small because the first set the terms are pretty close to each other. So if I just try to understand logically, I can always think that since the terms are smaller there, standard deviation is going to be smaller. Okay. However, there are certain conditions and there are certain tricks I can remember. So I'm going to talk, I'm going to tell you about those tricks. So if I have a set as 1, 3, 5, 7, okay, and if I add same number to all the terms. So what do I mean by that? Say I'm adding 2 to each of this term. So if I add 2 to each of this term, I'm going to get 3, 5, 7, 9. Or if I add say 7 to each of these terms from now on, so 10, 12, 14, 16, all these numbers will have the same standard deviation. Okay, and this is something, a property you should definitely remember. Okay, so if I have added same terms to each of the term, standard deviation doesn't change. Okay, however, what happens in this scenario? I haven't added anything, but you can see I have added 1 by 10. I mean, if I go from here to here, since these are the numbers, so I'm taking this as base. So from here to here, I can say I multiplied each term by 1 by 10. Since I multiplied each term by 1 by 10, I'm going to get something like this. So when I multiply every term by a certain term like 1 by 10, the standard deviation also become 1/10 of it. Okay, now so if I come back here, okay, from this term what you can do here, you can take 0.1 common. If you take 0.1 common out here, you are going to get exactly this term. So just a second. Yeah, so if my this term is x, you are going to get 0.1 x. Okay, you can do that calculation, that you find out what is the standard deviation. You take 0.1 square out, and if we take 0.1 square out, when it comes out of the square root is going to be 0.1. So I haven't done the calculation. You can do that at home, but you can always see there is a clear relation like this. So if I add something, add the same thing to all the terms, standard deviation doesn't change. If I subtract something, addition and subtraction works in the same way, it doesn't change. If I multiply by x, the standard deviation, if I multiply each term by x, the standard deviation will become x times. If I divide each term by x, the standard deviation will become 1 by x time. Okay, and this is a very important property that we have for standard deviation. Okay, and a lot of questions are set around that. Okay, since I had to discuss a little bit about the concept, so it went a little long. So you tell me if you have understood the concept, or else obviously you can definitely go through this concept and understand this is there, how standard deviation works. Okay, maybe we'll solve a couple of more questions so quickly. Yeah, so I can see you guys are okay with that. I'm going with the ahead with the next question. Okay. All right. Can you tell me what is the answer for this one? Questions are this question is not that difficult. So obviously, I'll give you less time, but obviously you need to um, give the correct answer. If you want to calculate, do that. If you do it logically, do that. Okay, I'll give you 1 minute and then I'll start the explanation. Okay, I have got a few answers. I think, yeah, I have got a few answers. Maybe couple of, yeah, one of you left actually. So if I the last person, whoever is left can mark the answer, I can then go ahead and start the explanation. All right, I'm ending the poll now. Okay, so I get the answer split is between B and D, and that is something expected. Okay, so which one is correct here? Is it B or is it D? Okay. Now let's see. Okay. So the question starts with Q is a real number. Now, if I say Q is a real number, what exactly is Q? Okay, so the real numbers are the numbers which can be plotted on a number line. Okay, right? So if this is a number line, generally we give 0 to plus side is plus infinite, and minus side is, I mean, negative, left side is minus infinite, and all the terms are there, right? Okay. Now Q is real number means Q can be on this number line. So it can be a positive number, it can be a negative number, or it can be zero. Okay. And that is where the trick is. Generally, if I say 38% of Q and 39% of Q, we generally tend to think that obviously 39% is more than 38%. But obviously, you understand there could be a trap around that. That's why it is given as Q as a real number. So, what happens if is a Q is a real number? Let me see what happens if I take Q to be positive and if I take Q to be negative. Okay. For easy calculation, I can assume it to be 100. So, what is 38% of 100? I can say 38% of 100 is 38. Similarly, if Q is 100 here, obviously 39% of 100 is going to be 39. Fair, right? Okay. However, how do I know it is positive? It can be negative as well. So if it is negative, then what is 38% of minus 100? That is going to be minus 38. And what is 38, 9% of minus 100? Obviously, you understand by now it is going to be minus 39. So in this scenario, A is greater than, sorry, in this scenario, B is greater than A. And the second scenario, minus 38 and 39. If you have any doubt about which one is greater, which one is less, any types you get confused, put them on the number line. So 38 is here, 39 will be farther away, so it will be here, right? So obviously the left side is smaller, right side is more. So I can say this is going to be the relation between minus 38 and 39, minus 39. Okay. So if I understand this, I can definitely say depending on the value of Q, I can get it less, I can get it more. In fact, if Q is 0, I can get them same as well. So the answer when Q is 0 is also possibility that 38% of 0 is going to be 0. Similarly, 39% of 0 is also going to be 0, so that it can be same as well. So what is the concrete relation? I do not know what is the concrete relation. There is nothing like that. It can be less, it can be more, it can be equal as well. Okay, right. So I believe that's it for this question. Okay, can you just confirm if you understood this one? Then I'll move quickly move on to the another question, which will be the last question. Actually, I'm going to plan. That is the last question. Okay. Yeah. So this is the last question. That's what I planned. Okay. So tell me what is your answer for this particular question. And by the time you answer, I'll just quickly give you rough idea about this one. Obviously, question can at times get tougher, no doubt about that. But mostly the question will be conceptual. Okay. So when it's a mostly the question will be conceptual, in comparison question, they will give you traps around these things. Okay. So there could be, so when I get a question on exponent, there is a chance that I need to make the exponent same, or there could be a chance that in some questions I need to use the concept related to four different regions on a number line, right? Okay. So if I get a question like this, I need to think about it that in that way. Okay. Obviously, if it is related to statistics, I need to know about the concept of statistics. I need to know how exactly those things works. Geometry, I need to know the concept, because when I try to solve that one, obviously I need to know the Pythagoras theorem, right? So your conceptual clarity should be there. You should know the concept. You should know the theorems and anything, whatever is there. And obviously, in the question, you should be alert that there could be certain traps around the question. If you know the concept, so then obviously it's not going to be that difficult if you are alert to those traps. Okay. Okay, the poll is up now. So I'll give you 1 minute. You can try it out. You can let me know what is your answer. Obviously, one good thing you have realized with comparison question is that I need not to find out the answer. I just need to compare them. Okay, I haven't got many answers. Okay, I'll give, since some calculation is involved. When I say some calculation, definitely significant amount of calculation needed for this particular question. Okay, and obviously I'm going to discuss little bit of how should I go about a question related to a word problem if this is a question which comes with work rate and time. Then definitely what should be our approach and all those things. I'll discuss little bit of that. Um, so maybe another 30 more seconds for you to answer this one. 30 more seconds, guys. Ten more seconds. All right, I'm ending the poll now. All right, guys, I'm ending the poll. Okay, so I see not many of you have answered this question. Some calculation is definitely involved. Let me go through that first. Okay. So possibly there is a reason. There could be a reason that you couldn't figure out how to approach it. Okay. So if you get a question on WRT, that is work rate and time, and it talks about two people or more people, and it gives you the time related to those people doing a certain work, then there is a standard method you can use. Okay. Obviously, we talk about something like WRT table. You can definitely do that. However, there is something related to LCM. We call it LCM method. That is something you can do. Okay. Now, so what is that LCM method? So you see here, it's like two types of pipes are there. One is type A, another one is type B. It can fill a cistern in 14 hours and 42 hours respectively. So the time taken for A is 14 hours, time taken for B is 42 hours, right? Okay. Now, so in this kind of scenario, obviously I know the system will have a particular um, volume, right? Whatever is the amount of water or something these pipes are filling. Okay. Now, what is the volume? Generally, we tend to assume the volume to be 100 or any number to be 100. Do not assume that 100. Okay. What you should do, if the times are given like 14 and 42 hours, you find out the LCM of these two. I mean, whatever way you need to find out LCM, you can do it. Whatever way you are comfortable. I can see it is 14 into 1 and this is 14 into 3. So obviously I can say my LCM is going to be 14 into 3. This is going to be my LCM, right? 42. So what I say, since 42 is the LCM, I assume the volume or capacity of the system, uh, that particular thing to be mm, 42 liters. You can say unit, you can say liter, whatever is up to you. Okay. It will not matter. Okay. So I can assume the volume to be this. Okay. Since the volume is this, okay. So obviously you understand if the volume is this, then what is the rate at which it is filling? So obviously it is filling 42 liters in 14 hours. So obviously the rate at which it is filling is 3 liters per hour. Similarly, the second one is 42 liters by 42 hours, which is 1 liter per hour. Now, how it helps? It helps me to remove any fraction from the equation. I just have certain integers here. So what I say, the capacity of this is 3, the capacity of this is 1. Okay. I mean, when I say capacity, that is the rate at which it is filling. Okay. Now, initially the system is two-thirds filled. So if I go with my assumption of 42 liters, I can say 42 into two-third is filled. If I calculate, I'm going to get 28 liter already filled. Since 20 liter is already filled, I can definitely now say the remaining part which it must fill is 14 more liters. Okay, so these two pipes needs to fill 14 more liters. However, hold on, is it these two pipes? Read very carefully. The time taken in minutes by two pipes of type A. So these pipe I'm using two eyes, I mean two such pipes, and one pipe of type B. I'm using one pipe of this will take to fill the remaining part of the system. So remaining part I already calculated to be 14. Okay. So this 14 liters is filled by 2A. Now what is the capacity of 1A? 3 liters. So 2A is 6 liters. So you can see the capacity is going to be 6 here and the capacity here is going to be 1. So that together 2A and 1B, the capacity I'm going to get is I'm going to get it to be 7. So I can say 14 liter is the unit to fill and the rate at which you are filling is this many liter per hour. So obviously you will take 2 hours to fill it. Okay. Now obviously now you understand that first part is 2 hours and this part is 180 minutes, which is 3 hours. I can easily compare it with 120 minutes and 180 minutes, or I can compare it with hours as well. Doesn't matter. Okay. My answer is definitely going to be option B here. Okay. So this is the method we use for, this is the way we use LCM to make sure that I need not to deal with any fraction. Now, why? What is the reason behind not dealing with fraction? Because if you want to deal with fraction, if I say the total unit to be 1, generally we assume the total unit to be 1 or 100. So if I assume it to be 1, I can see the first one will have a rate of 1 by 14, second one will have a rate of 1 by 42. These fractions are difficult to deal with. Like if I tell you what is 14 plus 42, you can easily say it's 56. But if I tell you what is 1 by 14 plus 142, you will take probably a couple of seconds to calculate, right? So the idea behind using LCM method is to eliminate that time, eliminate those fraction, and also dealing with fraction can definitely cause that you make a mistake here and there. So we want to avoid that one. Obviously, apart from that, we have in our course we have something like WRT method discussed in detail as well. So what I will definitely suggest you is that you can definitely use the free trial. Okay, and see how the course is planned and everything. You can definitely see your how the AI and all those stuff is going to find out where is your weak area and all those things. It is definitely the AI also provides you whether you are weak in a certain type of question like FIB type of question. I mean filling in the blanks I'm talking about, or multiple choice questions or comparison based question or particular topic. All those kind of details it provides. Okay. So definitely I'll strongly recommend that you definitely try the free trial options, obviously for a week or a couple of weeks, or like whatever is the I'm not sure what is the current this thing available. I mean, current plan available in terms of number, but you can definitely write a mail to support at the grewhiz.com as well. In that, you can find out the email ID over there as well in our website, support at the rate grewhiz.com. Support at the rate grewhiz.com. If you have any concern, you can mail us, or if you definitely want to avail the free trial, you can definitely do that and find it out. Okay. So that is it from my side with respect to questions that we have related to these few topics. Not topics, I mean, my bad. This particular type of question, which is comparison. Obviously, as I have told you, comparison question, I definitely need to know what are the things I need to what are the concepts. I definitely need to know the concept. That is going to be important, and then I need to be very alert to those traps as well. Okay. So if you guys have any concern, anything you want to um, ask me about the course or anything in general, you can definitely ask me. So I'll wait for a couple of minutes, so you can use the chat box to let me know if there is anything you want to ask me, or if not, I'll end the session. And this particular recording will be available to you, so you will get a mail with the link and everything. So you can definitely look back. For the people who have joined late, you can definitely look at it. Okay. So you have anyone having any concern or any queries? All right, I do not see any query or anything as such. Okay, so just you can confirm if should I end the session. If anyone is writing anything or something, you can at least uh, put it no. Should, and if you are not having any doubt, any queries, you can definitely put yes. So I'll end the session then. All right, I don't see anyone has any queries or anything. So I'm ending the session, guys. Um have a great weekend and all the best with the preparation. Take care. Bye. Oh, okay. I saw something. Is knowing concept the best way to be alert to the traps? Okay. Yes. I'm not sure your name. It's showing R. So yes, if you have conceptual clarity, okay, that is definitely going to be helpful. But along with conceptual clarity, there will be somewhere around 20 to 30 different types of traps that GRE sets. Okay. So if you are aware of those traps, obviously along with conceptual clarity, you can be very alert to those traps. Is it like there will be a lot of traps? Not necessarily. There is somewhere around 30, I would say, not more than that. 30 traps you should know. So if it is related to exponent, you should know that exponent of zero works in different way. If it is related to numbers, negative numbers work in a different way. Like we have given a question related to real numbers, right? So whenever you see question given as real numbers, think on that line. There could be a trap set around positive numbers and negative numbers. Okay. So conceptual clarity definitely helps, but knowing these traps will be like, knowing these traps is basically means that you have better conceptual clarity if you do not know the traps. All right. I do not see anything else, so that's fine. So I'll just end the session then. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. Bye. Take care.